Good morning, dear students. Welcome back. And this is Dr. Savita Tidame, and we are studying the subject animal ecology and chapter 5th, that is animal interaction. And we have spent 3 lectures for studying various kinds of animal interactions, right? Now, in our last lecture, what we have studied the parasitism, or that is called as an antagonistic animal interaction, as well as mutualism also we have studied, right? And in the antagonistic interaction, what we have studied the parasitism, right? And one example, that is ascaris and human, in detail we have already studied, so we're not going to spend time on it again. One more example from the antagonistic or parasitic animal association is this. Okay, this we started. Okay, and then head louse and human. Everybody is aware of the head louse, right? So head louse, that is Pediculus humanus, scientific name, is the ectoparasitic insect feeding on the human blood in the scalp of the head. Everybody knows that the head louse, they are feeding on the scalp, right? They survive between the hairs. They deposit their eggs on the hairs, means they glue their eggs to the hairs so that they cannot drop down, right? And with the help of our body warmness, the eggs, they carry out, or they undergoes incubation, and then young one hatches out. All right, so entire life cycle is spent on the human body itself, or on the human head, right? Okay, so in hyperinfestation means what? Excessive infestation. Okay, now in this kind of a association, head louse, it is living on the body or head of the human, and this head louse is getting blood meal from the human host, as well as it gets shelter on the human head, that is between the hairs, right? It gets food, it gets shelter. So this member is benefited. Its life is totally dependent on the human. So this one is always, head louse is always benefited. So it is one of the parasite. It sucks the blood of the host human. So it is the parasite, right? So on the contrary, the human who is going to harbor this parasite on its body, whether it is benefited? Is it benefited? No. The human, as the parasites are present on the body of the human, especially on the head portion, so it used to bite this Pediculus humanus, that is head louse, going to bite to the human scalp with the help of a biting and chewing type of a mouthpart, biting and sucking mouthparts. So what it does, it used to bite, so that is, the bite is very painful to the human, right? As well as it releases open wound through which again bacteria, viruses may attack on the human body, and the person may suffer from number of typhoid diseases, or yellow fever, or many other kind of diseases, or dermatitis even, it is also there, caused because of the head louse, right? So many other kind of infections, they are caused because of this head louse, right? Even the person in which the head louse infection is there is again feeling restless, sleeplessness is there, because the head louse, they are continuously keep on eating, keep on feeding, keep on biting to the human scalp. Even if you see the claws, right? With the help of their claw, they used to hold the host skin and climb on the host hairs, right? So all the stages, developmental stages, that is young ones, that is nymphal stages, all 3-4 nymphal stages, as well as adult, they used to feed on the host blood. Ultimately, the host is at harm, right? The human is always at harm, at the risk. So in hyperinfestation, excessive infection of the head louse, the number of head louse is increased so much if in the person, so that is called as a hyperinfestation. It causes discomfort, obviously irritation of the skin, causes the disease pediculosis, right? And it is association, head louse benefited as it receives the shelter. Yes, obviously head louse receives the shelter, nourishment from the human, but human gets harm from the head louse. And number of other diseases are also developed. The scalp skin becomes very rough, dry, hair fall is also there, dandruffs may develop, skin problems, skin irritation is there, right? The quality of hair again going to decrease. So number of things are there. Some typhoid diseases, typhus fever is also there, relapsing fever is also been developed because of this head louse. So my dear students, head louse, they are again one of the potential ectoparasite of the human, who is always benefited and the human is always at the risk. Let's move ahead and see the another type of interaction, antagonistic interaction, that is prey predation. Okay, so prey predation is again another type of antagonistic interaction observed amongst the various animals, right? Now here two words are there, prey and predator, prey and predation, predator. Okay, predator is responsible for the predation and the prey who is being eaten, who is at the harm. Now here I have shown two images. The one is a fish, is a prey, and the bear is the predator. Here the bird is a predator and the insect is a prey, right? Okay, let's move ahead. Alright, a predator is an organism. A predator means a larger one, is always a larger, stronger, then only it can grab the smaller one, it can grab the weaker one, right? And the prey is always of small size and weaker, right? Cannot compete or cannot fight with the larger predator, hence it becomes a prey, hence it can be eaten by the predator. Alright, so predator is an organism that eats another organism. The prey is the organism which the predator eats. Some example of the predator and prey are a lion and a zebra. Lion is always stronger, right? And carnivorous, top carnivore it is, and zebra is herbivorous and weaker as compared to the lion, because the mouth parts, the teeth of the lions, they are well developed to tear off the flesh of the animals, whereas the zebra don't have such a kind of a teeth. Only the zebra what can does, it can going to kick the lion, right? Okay, so bear and fish is again one of the example. Right, here I have shown the antagonistic interaction where it is feeding on the fishes, it used to capture the fishes and eat on it. Some insectivorous birds are there, means those birds which keep on feeding on the insects. So they are also feeding on the insects and minimize their population. The world's predator and prey are almost always used to mean only animals that eat the animals, right? But the same concept also applied to plants, even the bear and the berries. What? Bear and the berries. It's again, bear is the predator and berry is the prey again. Rabbit and lettuce, even grasshoppers and leaves. So this is not only limited to the animals, but it can be applied to the plants, right? This is commonly associated with the idea of a strong attacking the weak one, such as the tiger pouncing upon the deer, right? Stronger one always attacking the weaker one, is a relationship exists between the prey, means a predator, and the prey. Hawk upon the sparrows. So obviously who will win in the fight of a hawk and sparrows? Obviously the hawk, because it is a stronger, bigger, right? So the stronger and bigger always win in this fight. And the frog upon the insects, obviously the frog will win, and so on, right? So many such examples, many examples of prey predators are exist in the environment, are exist in the ecosystem, and all these prey predator relationships are very important, my dear students, for the point of view of from the point of view of ecosystem. To maintain the number of individual under control, this prey predator relationship plays a very important role. Otherwise, what will happen if prey predator relationship is not there? Suppose the insectivorous birds are not there, what will happen? the insects will increase in number so enormously because they don't have their predator. No, the number of insects will increase because the number of eggs produced by the females, they are quite high, and so within a few years the entire world will be occupied by the insects. This will be the situation. So the predators play very important role in minimizing, in controlling the population of their prey. Clear? Okay. So a species such as, okay, that we have done. The relationship between a snake and a rat is more than that between the prey and a predator, as the snake also seeks the shelter in the rat's hole. So it is slightly different because the snake, though feeding on the rat, but snake also feeds on the rat, and snake also attack on the rat house as an shelter, in search of the shelter. Okay, now this is one of the example where the fox and what is it, rabbit. Yes, the relationship between the fox and rabbit is again antagonistic type, means what we say prey predator type. Here in this case, this rabbit is nothing but or acting as a role of a prey, which is going to be eaten because it is a weaker, smaller, and the carnivorous animal fox is nothing but the stronger, bigger, and feeding on the rabbits, right? So thus the predation represent a direct and often complex interactions of two or more species of the eaters and being eaten. So this is a negative interaction. Especially, what is it? The prey predation relationship is antagonistic interaction, means opposite interaction, means a negative interaction, right? And it a negative effect, it adds a negative effect on the growth and survival of one of the two populations. So obviously the number of rabbits, if more, and suppose there are few fox, what will happen? The fox will going to feed on the rabbit, so ultimately check the population of a rabbit, the number of rabbit will going to minimize. So it exerts, means the existence of a one species, that is a fox, going to exert a negative expression, negative effect on the prey. So the number of prey will going to decrease. So in this type of association and interaction, one species, that is a predator, kills and feeds on the second species, that is a prey. So predation is important process in the community dynamics, right? Predation is again important. If the predators are not there, the number of prey will going to increase a lot, right? And that will be beyond the control, as well as some kind of competition will exist amongst themselves. Intraspecific competition will be there, and then food limitation is again problem, shelter is again a problem. So number of things are there. So for the harmony of the ecosystem, it is important that the predators are going to regulate the population of a prey. So from ecological, means a population ecology point of view, predation is the action and reaction in the transfer of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level. Obviously, whatever is there growing in the grasses. So grasses or green vegetation, what they do is they used to synthesize the food material on which they used to trap the energy. That energy is transferred to herbivores, and from the herbivores energy is transferred to carnivores. So there is what transfer of energy from one trophic level to another one. So it represents a direct and complex interaction between two or more species of eaters and being eaten. So this interaction is a very important one, as it ensures that there is a stability in the ecosystem. What it ensures? It ensures that there is a stability in the ecosystem, and two main populations interacting in the predations are the predators and the prey. So prey-predator relationship is very important for stabilizing the ecosystem. Okay. Now, one more example of the prey-predator relationship is that lion hunts the deer. So without the predators, the prey population will go out of control, right? So predators are important for regulating the population of the prey. So the species diversity in a community is also maintained by the predators. Yes, they reduces the intensity of the competition between the prey species. As I told you earlier while studying this one example, right? What if the predators are not there, then the number of prey will going to increase so much, and ultimately there will be the intra-specific competition for the dominance, for the superiority, for the mate, and for many more things, for the food also. So it is again not good for the ecosystem, right? The balance of the ecosystem, equilibrium of the ecosystem will get disturbed. So as to maintain the equilibrium of the ecosystem, it is important that the number of every organism should be regulated, right? So predators are important, preys are important. So the prey species have also evolved several mechanisms to lesser the impact of the predation. They are also adapted themselves to protect themselves from the predator, right? Some of them, like some birds, they have developed, or some reptiles, they have developed mimicry. Means they have developed the mechanism in which they can act like a background, so they cannot be recognized by their predator. So such a type of things are also developed by the Okay, now my dear students, in the present lecture what we have studied one example of a mutual parasitism, that is head louse and the human. Then prey predation we have studied, in which many examples, as well as the role of a predator and prey in an ecosystem, that also we have studied. Role of the predators in maintaining the number of prey we have studied. With this, I am showing this diagram, that is a food chain where the vegetation is there, phytoplanktons are there, on which benthic zooplanktons they feed, on which the mollusca and small fishes as well as the zooplanktons they feed, on which smaller fishes they used to feed. It's larger fishes as well as aquatic birds, and on the larger fishes the carnivorous bird they used to feed. What it shows? It shows the transfer of energy from the small aquatic vegetation to the small aquatic animals, to the larger animals, to the top carnivores, right? As well as it also shows that if the phytoplanktons, they are not being eaten, consider there is nothing like this, only the phytoplanktons are there in an aquatic ecosystem. What will happen? If the consumers are not there, then the phytoplanktons will grow, keep on growing, and the entire aquatic body, entire water body will be completely filled of the phytoplanktons. There will be water, we can say eutrophication, and ultimately the lake will be of no use, right? So predators are important, consumers are important. So on such a small phytoplanktons, these aquatic birds as well as this small benthic animals, they used to feed. So what they does, they used to regulate the population of this phytoplankton. Aquatic animals used to regulate the aquatic plant. So the number of plant, the amount of the aquatic phytoplants will be remain under control. So ultimately the harmony of the ecosystem is maintained. And if the small zooplanktons are there, they are feeding on the aquatic vegetation, so they become food for the smaller fishes as well as a mollusca or bivalve, right? So whatever energy is trapped by the phytoplankton is then transferred to small zooplankton, from where it is transferred to the smaller fishes as well as mollusca. And now if top carnivore, means these carnivores are not there, then what will happen? Again these members will increase in number so enormously, they will fight together, then food limitation is there, right? The ecosystem, balance of the ecosystem will again get disturbed. So it is important to note that every member in an ecosystem, every animal in an food chain is very, very important for maintaining the health of an ecosystem. Because in absence of anyone, the health of the ecosystem will be at the risk. Just for example, if phytoplanktons, means predators are not there, then what will happen? Will they survive? Means carnivores, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, will they survive in absence of their prey? No, they cannot. Means if the herbivores are not there, then the primary consumers, they cannot get their food material, so ultimately they will die off. And then secondary consumer, in absence of the primary consumer, they will also die. And this one, top consumer, they will also die again. So entire ecosystem will going to collapse. Consider the secondary consumers are not there. Then the top consumer can feed on this. They get migrate towards this. But again, the life is in danger. Their life is in danger. Right? So every member in an ecosystem is equally important for maintaining the health of the ecosystem, for maintaining the trophic level of the ecosystem, for the transfer of energy from producers to the decomposers. Every part, every aspect of an ecosystem food chain is important. With this, we have started all the type of animal association, whether it is commensalism, mutualism, as well as a prey-predatory relationship. And I'm saying thank you so much.